I think in a lot of my work I kind of deal with what I would call like aspirational media, you know, things like cooking shows or home improvement television. And so looking at wellness culture seemed like the next step, this space of personal optimization where health and wellness and personal decisions are moralized, you know? And that's why I named decision fatigue. I was thinking about the ways in which like structural inequalities when it comes to wellness culture are often framed as personal decisions. So you could choose to eat the right thing, you could choose to sleep the right way, you could choose to even say the correct positive affirmations to yourself every morning. And those things will guarantee you wellness, happiness, and prosperity. And so we know that so many people don't have access to even, especially in the US, you know, vegetables and time to relax, that it just feels like it's a field with so much to mine and so much to figure out still.
It smells like Cheetos. I'm going to show you how to make this if you're interested. And I use this as a face mask. This time we'll just use
Indecision fatigue. I was thinking specifically about the decisions my mother has made over the course of her life about how to stay well, whether that's both mentally and physically, and the options that she hasn't had as well. And so then obviously thinking about what is natural and what is unnatural shifted in March of 2020. You know, I see especially like the impact of inequality and social inequality in the US, racial inequality in the US, and the health even of my own relatives, which seems so affected by the stressors of just being a Black person in America. And so for my sister, that built for her a sort of a suspicion, even though she also had a belief and a faith in healthcare. And so she saw the ways patients were mistreated every day when she went to work. And so she wanted to find her own kind of natural remedy or another way of taking care of herself. And so that led me to the content in Leaf of Life. She was going online and she was investigating one particular diet, the Dr. Sebi diet, which is a diet kind of invented by this sort of health guru in the 1970s, 80s named Dr. Sebi. And it's a diet that's it's super duper popular among Black Americans and also I think just generally Black people in the New World, so the Caribbean and South America. But when you meet a lot of other Americans, say white Americans for instance, they often have never heard of Dr. Sebi. And so my sister's growing interest in Dr. Sebi sort of coincided with my desire to find other paths when it came to making work about wellness.
Was mich an der Arbeit von Ilana Harris-Babou so fasziniert, ist der Humor, mit dem sie tiefgreifende gesellschaftliche Themen anspricht, aber gleichzeitig mit der scheinbaren Leichtigkeit der künstlerischen Sprache die Kritik, die sie übt, auch zugänglich macht. Die Künstlerin hinterfragt in ihren Arbeiten die Idee des amerikanischen Traums und diese neoliberale Vorstellung, die damit einhergeht, dass wir das alle eigentlich im Leben schaffen können, wenn wir nur hart genug arbeiten, kreativ sind oder es einfach richtig anpacken. Aber was dabei natürlich völlig vergessen wird, ist, dass nicht für alle dieselben Grundvoraussetzungen gegeben sind und dass ganz häufig Privilegien, die nicht immer sichtbar sind, natürlich auch einen wesentlichen Teil zum Erfolg beitragen. Und das ist natürlich eine Thematik, die nicht nur im amerikanischen Kontext Relevanz hat, sondern natürlich auch ganz klar in Europa ebenso deutlich auszumachen ist.
Yeah, wholesome fun. I was thinking about a few different things with that title. One was the word wholesome, which I feel like I've been seeing pop up even more, especially in New York City and Brooklyn, where a lot of, we have this term food deserts, which are neighborhoods where people don't have access to fresh food. And so as the neighborhoods in Brooklyn and in New York City have become more gentrified by higher income people, these bodegas have wanted to rebrand themselves to be appealing to like a more bourgeois clientele. And so a lot of them have added the word wholesome to the beginning of it. So wholesome foods, or sometimes, imitating Whole Foods, or they'll add the word organic even though nothing in there is organic. And so a lot of the products haven't changed, but this word wholesome is like a dog whistle for another community, that this is a place you can shop in now.
We, like everyone else, find ourselves just as angry as the lion, the cheetah, because the diet has been changed.
And so I was thinking a lot about the tree of life metaphor, or the tree of life in the Bible. I personally don't know that much about Christianity, but I became really interested in this. And so it bears 12 different manner of fruits, and it's the herbs or the leaves of it were for the healing of the nations. So you are meant to heal yourself with just herbs, just fruits and vegetables in Dr. Sebi's philosophy. And so there's one phrase, I think it's from Proverbs, and it's like, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach of the spirit. To have wholesome fun is to have fun that is still morally righteous, entertainment that is good for the whole family. And whose family is that, right?
I prepared three test versions for you.
Yeah.
So we will get a proper paper for the background.
Okay. Yeah, I think the frames work. If you use the tape, would you be able to send it back to me with the back so I could take it off myself?
Yes. Yeah,
I think if you can do it that way, then I would prefer the tape.
Good.
Sounds good. Good design has to be seen and experienced to be understood. I went looking for something that could be understood by anyone, anytime, any place.
Wir beschäftigen uns in Deutschland ja gerade stark damit, wie wir die Museen dekolonisieren können. Und im Grunde muss man aber diese Frage viel weiter fassen und sich fragen, wie können wir den Alltag dekolonisieren, wie können wir uns im Grunde gesamtgesellschaftlich dekolonisieren. Und so finden wir eigentlich in allen Arbeiten, die wir hier in der Ausstellung zeigen, immer wieder auch die Frage nach den Werkzeugen, mit denen wir strukturellem Rassismus oder sozialen Ungleichheiten auch begegnen können. Und es gibt tatsächlich auch in der Ausstellung und in den Videos einige wunderschöne Werkzeuge, die da auftauchen, aber es sind eigentlich alles Werkzeuge auch, die dysfunktional sind. Aber die Künstlerin stellt nicht nur Fragen, sondern sie zeigt eigentlich auch ziemlich deutlich auf, wo diese Strukturen sich in den Medienbildern manifestieren oder eben auch im konsumorientierten Alltag uns immer wieder begegnen als hegemoniale Narrative und als rassistische Strukturen.
I think it does sound a little bit better on the wall, but something just generally sounds a little bit wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we put this also?
Yeah, sure. When I'm working on my videos, I usually just have the camera running for hours while I'm messing around with materials and just sort of saying things while looking into the lens. And then the things that sort of resemble narrative in the work really come together in the editing process. I don't write scripts. I pull together a whole bunch of different sources, whether that be cooking shows, or commercials. So I'll take phrases from that, and then I'll think about how they have parallels or how they have contradictions to whether it's kind of theory that I'm reading that's related to that idea, or historical texts that are related to that idea. If you told me I could never make videos again, I would be sad. But I think if you told me I could never make objects again, I would be devastated, because that's the thing that really brings me back every day. I think sitting in front of a screen, right, I think all of us know after the past year can be like really painful and tedious experience. And so I really began making work as a painter and a sculptor, and there was really only one moment in the life of like a sculpture or painting I was interested in at first, which was like when it was still messy and in a state of becoming. And so I sort of turned the camera on those moments to share them with other people. And so I really love working with, say, clay, for instance, because it's such an immediate path from hand to object that you just sort of press the thing and you see the results. And so for me, objects and sculptures just allow me to sort of iterate through these ideas that are really not based in language, that have to do with color and looking and presence, and really sort of move through those things quickly. I do think that in some ways, as artists, we're assumed to be arbiters of taste or creators of taste in the larger culture. And I think oftentimes we sort of take that for granted. We believe we just know what's good, what's tasteful and what's not, what ideas and concerns are interesting or not. And that often comes from the context in which we were raised, the things we were taught, maybe the homogenization of beliefs that happens when you go to school, for instance. And so I'm really interested in interrogating my own tastes. Which sorts of things am I drawn to? You know, why do I want to have a delicious matcha latte or a lovely marble countertop in my kitchen? You know, I often begin with these tastes that have kind of pulled me in, actually, and then I try to figure out, you know, what's really behind that. And oftentimes it's something that you wouldn't necessarily think of at first, or oftentimes it's something sort of nefarious, right? And the other way I think about taste is just taste as a physical experience. I think in a lot of my work, I think about like tactility and what it means to be present in your body in a material experience. And taste, I think, is one experience that really kind of brings us all together. And then when it comes to humor, I think that I often sort of begin by sincerely trying to mimic the forms of media that I'm looking at. But because I'm me and I'm human, I inevitably fail. And then I sort of lay those failures bare in the editing process. And that's where humor also comes from. And I think lastly, that I sort of use humor for myself as a way to digest more painful realities. So maybe humor kind of becomes like the sugary coating on the outside of a medicine tablet. It lets you sort of take down the more bitter truths that you really need to, and gives you an entry point to that.
Your face has been rolled out and relaxed, and now you can have your dinner, and you can look at TV or the internet